Alright, hello everyone. Just needed to grab one last thing real quick. Alright. Let's see who is here. Gotta go to my channel. Let's see. My channel. Alright, we have... Wow, a lot of people are here already. Let me see. Alright, we have Titanic Gaming, we have Blue Ribbon Productions, we have The Traveling Suitcase, Mike, Wyatt, Ivan, hello everybody. Tyler's here, hello Tyler. Hello, I already said Traveling Suitcase. Titanic Gaming, how you doing? Let's see. RMS, how's it going? Let's see. Ken is here. What's up, Ken? Hello, Andrew. Hello, Rayanne. Sarah, how's it going? Let's Build and Kraken Teeth Gaming are here. Crittenden Footage is here. And Chris is here. How's it going? Alright, so I pretty much have everything kind of pre-warmed a little bit. Let me just... That should be good. And then half of this. Oh, whoops. I didn't even see that was... Jeez. Well, that's precisely why I have a towel down, in case something like that happens. Alright, so these will just preheat a little bit, and then I will get to everybody's conversations. Things are getting... It's a warm day today. But I look at the temperature, it's only 73 degrees Fahrenheit, but with how cold it's been lately, all of a sudden having a day like today is just ridiculously hot. Alright. So, yeah, so I had to, like, quickly put everything together because I didn't even have time to refrigerate the sandwich. I literally made it right now, and I don't like to do that. I prefer to refrigerate the sandwich ahead of time, but I had to give myself a haircut, I had to shower and do some dishes, so a lot of stuff. But anyway, it's good to have everybody here, good to see everybody. My shirt is again peeking through underneath the other shirt. It's annoying, but I don't have any undershirts to put underneath this thing. And then I have like a thing that scrubs the rails of the train set behind me. Oh, it looks like the chat stopped working again. Let me see. There we go. So yeah, I have this thing that scrubs the rails behind me so that way it gets better electrical connection. And I had to clean that thing because it was so dirty from scrubbing the rails the past couple weeks. So, but looks like everything's running perfectly fine. Hello, Conrad. How's it going? RailFan, I didn't say this was cold. I said today was a warm day. I said normally we have such cold weather that when it becomes 73 degrees like today, it's really hot. Like, I'm sweating in 73-degree weather. Here, cold is pretty cold. So... yeah, it's a hot day today compared to what it is. Joe says, how's life in Portland? I don't live in, like, the city itself. I live on the outskirts. But it's really nice. I love it a lot. I would never go back to living in Southern California. It's terrible there. Let's see. Ozzy says, it's 107 here in Fort Mojave, Arizona, and dry. Yeah, but you know what I noticed? I have a lot of friends who are from Arizona. And they're like, oh, well, it's over 100 degrees here all the time. I'm like, yeah, but you guys always have air conditioning. Like, I had family who lived in Arizona. Everything they had was air conditioned. And they weren't rich people. They were just, you know, ordinary working class folk. But everything was air conditioned. Their apartment was air conditioned. Their cars were air conditioned. Well, everybody's cars were air conditioned. But, you know, their work was air conditioned. Nothing they did was outside. Everything that they had to do on a daily basis was indoors somewhere. So it was always air conditioned. So the temperature there never bothers anybody. But here, you know, there's no air conditioning because it's always cold here. So when it becomes warm, like last year we had that what do you call it? That really crazy heat wave that was 115 degrees. It killed everything. All the plants, everything like was dying. But inside, people were suffering because there's really no air conditioning here. Because there's no need for air conditioning, generally speaking. So, they even created like a new like law or safety code or something just because of last year. They said that, oh, no, it was a code on this apartment complex. This apartment complex never allowed people to have window air conditioners because it looks bad. But they are making an allowance for it now because after what happened last year and nobody had air conditioning, it was just, you know, people were suffering. So, alright, here's the boiling water. I have to be careful because sometimes I'll overflow this thing. That looks like it's going to overflow. I can't tell what the water level is on that. So 416... There we go. And like and because it's always cold here, like even, this is an exterior wall, so it shares with the inside obviously, but this wall goes, you know, extends to the outside. This is not an indoor wall. But the exterior walls are like a foot thick because it's all insulation. Now, normally in the United States, like if you live in like Southern California, for instance, the thickest wall you'll have is just 6 inches. But this is twice that thickness because it's full of insulation. Because it gets so cold here that they all the apartments are really well insulated. But that means that like on warm days like today, it just traps all the heat. It's just so bad. Let's see. Why it says Missouri can't stick to one weather. I believe that. Let's see. Oh yeah, Ken says after the Portland heat wave last year, he got an AC installed. Yeah, I can understand that. It was so bad. I remember like a couple days later when it started to cool down, I went outside and like a lot of the shrubbery and bushes and grass around the apartment complex was all dead. It just died from the heat. And normally our apartment complexes are covered in moss, you know, because it's always so humid and cold here. But all the moss was dead and had dried out. So that was just crazy. It was like walking outside. It was like post-apocalyptic almost. Let's see. Joe asks if the spruce goose is good for a 2-year-old to see. I mean, I don't know if a 2-year-old could appreciate it, but it is pretty cool looking. So, but I'm not really sure. Sabrina says, "So are you ready for rain, Alex?" Yeah, I love rain. Give me rain every day for the rest of my life. I love it. Drew says, since you live in Oregon, are you considered outdoor? Are you considered yourself an outdoor person? Like, have you visited the national parks? Well, I've always visited national parks my whole life. I've been going to national parks since I was a little kid. I love being outdoors. And I've visited a lot of the state parks here. Yeah, certainly ever since I moved here, we've been going to different state parks and stuff. And, you know, every other day I'd take a walk on the river trail and stuff nearby. So, yeah, I love being outdoors. It's very much a big thing here to be outdoors. Let's see here. Rochelle says, if there was a second Titanic, would you go on it? No, I wouldn't. Hello, Fox Starline. What's going on? Let's see. Ken says, Alex, good trick. If it's hot, keep your blinds and windows closed during the day with fans running. Then open windows around 7 p.m. Works pretty good if you don't have AC. Yeah, I would. But it was already stuffy in here to begin with. Like, even if it's hot, I'll usually keep the windows open just for fresh air because I can't stand stagnant air. I have to have, like, fresh blowing air all the time. So I usually keep the windows and stuff open during that time. Oh, tea time now. There we go. Whoa. Ah. Ow. Jeez, there's got to be a better way to take that lid off the tea kettle. Alright, let's see here. Gotta give this a quick stir. Today is just English breakfast tea. I have to buy a lot more Earl Grey and stuff next time, because I go through Earl Grey so quickly because I just love it so much. But yeah, English breakfast tea. There we go. Oh, I have to empty out this thing. All right. Drew, she's not asking about building the Titanic 2. She's only stating that if there was a second Titanic, would I go on it? But my answer was no, I wouldn't, because I don't know, I feel like it's just not good. What's the word? Like, it's not good luck, I don't think. You know, if there was like a Lusitania 2, would I go on it? Yeah. But Lusitania sank due to, you know, man-made intention. You know, it was torpedoed. Titanic sank due to an accident. But I feel like sometimes certain accidents, if they're really big, I wouldn't want to replicate the very thing that foundered, you know? Like, I wouldn't want to be on the Titanic since it was sinking. Let's see. Big Ocean Miners in History asks, why doesn't Cunard get the Queen Mary again and use it? That's not what they do. You know, Cunard is a modern company. They specialize in building modern ships and operating them in modern ways. Queen Mary is old, and Cunard has never been interested in keeping older ships and stuff like that. They operate them as long as they can, as long as it makes money, but then as soon as it doesn't, they get rid of it. So it's that simple, honestly. Like, they're not interested in old ships. They want to be the newest thing. So that's kind of why they, you know, and then plus, the Queen Mary would be so expensive to operate as, you know, out on the sea. Like, it would just, it's expensive enough keeping her you know, next to land and being inoperable. But imagine making her operable would be exorbitantly expensive, all for something that really wouldn't make that much money in return. Not many people are interested in the true ocean liner experience. They want like a cruise ship experience. And Queen Mary isn't built to offer that. So let's see. Let's build. No, I'm not a theme park person. Let's see. Thank you so much, Titanic Gaming. Conrad, I would choose the Queen Mary too. I would not want to spend any nights aboard Normandy. It's just not something I would want to spend nights aboard. I might see it, like if Normandy was still around, I might go there for a day and explore and stuff, but I wouldn't want to stay aboard Normandy. Oh, thank you, Emily. Yeah, you can find a link to the music that's playing in the description below. It's a whole like it's like a playlist put together by my friend Shiloh. Drew says, how long will Queen Mary 2 be in service? I mean, there's never like a definite like expiration date. Like the company never says, all right, this ship will be, you know, this ship will be put out of service in the year 2020. They don't do that. They wait and they just try to keep the ship in service as long as they can. So how long will Queen Mary 2 be in service? We really don't know. It could be put out of service next year. It could be put out of service 40 years from now. We really don't know. Brian says, are you still a big Disneyland fan? Not really, no. The park that I loved no longer exists. It's very different than the way it was when I was a kid and the way it was even before that. So I don't recognize it anymore. When I go there, it just doesn't look the same to me anymore. It doesn't feel the same. And frankly, I wouldn't like the experience anymore. Ever since they reopened, they introduced their park reservation system and their Genie Pluses. It makes it like a headache. It was already a headache in 2019 to go to Disneyland because of all the things you needed to know then. Now it's like, you know, it's a mess. I would not want to spend a lot of money on that. I'd rather have a stress-free vacation. Mike says Queen Mary 2 is 19 years old now. Yep, that's true. Wait, is it? Yeah, it's 19 years old now. Oh, did you, Steve? Awesome. So my friend Steve just sent me a message, and I have some good news to share with all you folks. So this Friday is the 86th anniversary of Queen Mary's maiden voyage. So that's May 27th. And to kind of commemorate that, we have a little surprise for everybody. It will be a teaser trailer for something that is yet to come and will happen sometime this summer, you know, as it progresses into summer. But the teaser trailer will be really cool. We've been working on it, so yeah, this will be really great. But yeah, you'll have to wait and see on Friday. It'll be a nice little nod to the 86th anniversary. But yeah, so gosh, okay, so time to have some sandwiches. So good. I love these cucumber sandwiches. Somebody told me the etiquette with tea time is to eat the sandwiches first and then the pastries after. So Drew, no, I'm not going to do any videos on Epcot. I'm really only a Disneyland fanatic. That's it. And even then, I'm not a Disneyland fan anymore. So I'm not going to be making any stuff on Epcot or anything like that. The sandwich is really good, Traveling Suitcase. Really delicious. I wish I had the time to refrigerate it before I cut it up, because that would have made it extra cold, but... Wyatt says, you know, I tried cucumbers once and I can't. They were tasteless to me. Cucumbers are pretty much tasteless. They do have a certain taste, though. It's a refreshing kind of thing. In fact, one of my favorite refreshments to have is cucumber water. There's something about adding cucumber to water that tastes refreshing. I don't like strawberry water. I don't like lemon water. I don't like I don't like mint water. Cucumber water, though, I like it. But yeah, you would need to, like... The thing about the cucumber sandwiches is the way I make them, I add a lot of flavor to the spread. So when you have the cucumber with the spread, it goes really well together. Because you can't just put cucumber in between two slices of bread. It's not going to be very tasty. So, but, yeah. I think it goes really well with the dill. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, cucumbers from other countries actually taste better than American cucumbers. American cucumbers are the definition of tasteless. But if you've ever had Japanese cucumbers, oh, they're so good. And then, like, you know, I haven't had English cucumbers, but I have had some kind of South Asian cucumber. That was really good. So, but for some reason, in the United States, all of our vegetables are tasteless. Like our tomatoes here, tasteless. Every vegetable grown in the United States is, compared to other countries, tasteless. I don't know why. It's just the mass production, I guess, but yeah. Let's Build says, isn't lemon water just lemonade? No. I wish it was, but it's really not. Because lemon water, you don't like add lemon juice to water. You just slice up lemons and let it float in the water. It doesn't turn to lemonade. It's just lemon flavored water. And I don't like that. I don't like the way it tastes. Carl says, you look fresh with that salmon color. Thanks. Henry says, have you ever been on the Queen Mary for the 4th of July celebration? No, I have not. Tomorrowland used to be my favorite until they took the People Mover out. It's not the same anymore. Oh, I mean, one ride removal doesn't, for me, change a whole land like that. But it was the removal of several different things. But even then, like, I'm just, you know, the whole park is, again, it doesn't look anything like I remember it. It's just so different now, and even the experience is so different. I just don't, this just doesn't interest me anymore. Sabrina says, how is the train set going? It's going fine. I haven't done any updates to it. I don't have the materials to do any updates and stuff like that to it. It's gonna have to wait. So, I live from paycheck to paycheck, just like a lot of you folks. So, I have to be very careful how I spend money. Yeah, so let's have a taste of this tea. So how is everybody doing today? Not many people talking, which is kind of different than usual, but then again, it is the weekday, so a lot of people are at work and stuff, but I don't know, maybe Sunday will be a lot more of a busy episode. Yeah. Kira's good. Ocean Liners says, hey, I saw that the Queen Mary lifeboats have propellers. How do they move and work? So, yeah, the Queen Mary was the first ocean liner to have a full fleet of motorized lifeboats. All of Queen Mary's lifeboats are made of riveted steel, and they are motorized with, well, they were motorized with diesel engines. So they had these diesel engines. I don't remember how many cylinders off the top of my head. It wasn't very much. I think it was like 4 cylinders at most or something like that. But yeah, and so the operator of the lifeboat would be in charge of the engine and of course steering the boat. So they had a tiller at the back, and then they would, it was like a piece of wood that they stuck into the tiller, and that way that helped them to turn the rudder. Yeah, that's kind of the basics of how it worked. Ken says, planning on working on my 1/3/225th scale Queen Mary Lego model this afternoon. I know you're not a Lego guy, but can't wait to send you pics when done. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. I am a Lego guy. That's the funny thing. I am a Lego guy. It's just when it comes to building models of things that have existed in life, I can't build them out of Lego. I've built Lego Star Destroyers from Star Wars. I've built Lego spaceships and things. That doesn't bother me for some reason, but when I try to recreate an ocean liner or something in Lego, I can't stand that it looks so Lego-y, you know? So that's why I don't build Lego ocean liner models. So, but I am a Lego person. I don't know if it's because I'm really hungry or if this sandwich is just extra tasty today. So the next project I think will go for the railroad that I have behind me will be, I'm thinking about building a snow shed. So for railroads, a snow shed is kind of like a tunnel, but it's outdoors. Instead of being inside of a mountain or something, it's outside. And the reason why I want to do that is because there's a portion where in between the Pony Truss Bridge and the Trestle Bridge is just a little piece of land that crosses in front of the mountainside. And I thought, well, you know, due to the climate, it might get snowy, and you know, and the snow would fall onto the tracks and, you know, disrupt train service. So they probably would have built a snow shed there. So a snow shed is something I can build right now with the supplies I have. So I have to design a snow shed and then put it in there. But part of me is also kind of like, ooh, how am I going to do that? Because I still would need to construct the mountain behind it. And there is something I am missing, actually, metal primer. The roof of the snow shed would be made out of these little corrugated metal pieces. And I need to get like a metal primer so I can paint those pieces. Oh, do I have the paint to paint those pieces? I think I do. But anyway, yeah, I could build the snow shed. See you later, Kira. Oceanliners asks, do you know the SS France from 1960? Yes, I do. Wyatt says, how do you make the spread for the sandwich? The spread is 2 parts cream cheese to 1 part mayonnaise. And then you put in a pinch of salt and a pinch of garlic powder. And then you chop in some fresh dill. I don't recommend using dried dill. It just doesn't taste right. But fresh dill. And you mix that all together till it's nice and smooth and everything's, you know, perfectly combined. And then you spread that on the bread. So yeah. And it's really delicious. I found that that I've used like a lot of dill before, and I've used very little. But the more dill you use, the better, I think. Carl says, I saw Queen Mary 2 arrive in Southampton on YouTube showing the dog going true freight. Was wondering if they found something. Would Queen Mary 2 be the default? I'm really confused by your question. I don't understand what you're asking. Mike says, I have poison ivy. Okay, well, don't hurt anybody with it. Oceanliner says, I saw a video of the Queen Mary, and the smoke came out the back, and the pick on your back is gray. I don't get it. What? I don't understand your question either. I don't understand your question. Glenn's talking about the Legos. 2 boxed and cubed. Let's see. Right, 2PF says, what is your favorite movie? I don't have a favorite. I have so many movies that I would call my favorite, and I can't choose one over the other. Matt Black says, Oceanliners, I saw your video of the Queen Mary, and the smoke came out black, and the pick on your back is black. My pick and the pick is gray. If you're asking, I still don't know what you're asking, but I think if you're wondering about why the Queen Mary's smoke can go from gray to black, it really has to do with how much particulate is in it at that moment. So the Queen Mary burned number 6 bunker C fuel oil. When you have oil burning boilers, you can adjust how much oil is being fired into the boiler. And if you have too much oil firing into the boiler, the smoke will become quite visible and turn black because there's so much carbon being released. It's an excess. They don't. If you see black smoke coming from an oil burning boiler of any kind, you know that they're not burning the proper amount. So with Queen Mary, the proper amount of oil burning would leave the smoke coming out very light gray, very transparent. That's the proper way it should have looked on Queen Mary. And today with modern locomotives, for instance, like when you go to like Disneyland, for instance, the Disneyland Railroad is oil burning. They burn number 2 diesel oil, number 2 biodiesel oil, B98 biodiesel oil. So when that happens, theirs should come out clear. There shouldn't be any smoke at all, basically, when you see it. That's how clean it should burn. But on Queen Mary, it should burn very, very gray, very light gray. So, but yeah, so the reason why you probably saw black smoke was probably because either they were cleaning out one of the furnaces, or maybe they were adjusting the oil, and so when they did that, they fired up too much and it just created black smoke real quick or something. And so they were probably just adjusting things, cleaning something. You know, they could have even been cleaning one of the flues or something of one of the boilers that was not in use, and it could have carried up the uptake, and you know, it could have been any number of things, honestly. Let's see. Steve says, Alex, I asked you earlier, have you seen the movie Assault on a Queen? No, I've seen video clips, but I can't see the whole movie. So, but I haven't seen it yet. Tyler says, I don't have poison ivy, but I have a bad cough and sore throat. Oh, geez. Yeah, I hope you get better. I heard you weren't feeling very good the other day. YouTube asks, what is it like to work at Disneyland? Everybody's experience is different, but my experience, it was just complete hell. It was nice doing some of the jobs. When I'm interacting with the guests and stuff, that was really nice. That was really fun. But I had a lot of coworkers I did not like working with. A lot of just really lazy people that made me do all the work, and then the management really didn't care. The management were just grown-up kids, essentially. They really had no experience outside of Disney doing any kind of management. So they were just kids that started off at Disney and then worked their way up, and then they really don't know how to be a manager. I did not like... I like to separate it into two different categories. I liked the job experience. I did not like the employee experience. See you later, Carl. Let's see. Brian says, which is better, the cruise line Carnival or Royal Caribbean? I don't know. I can only tell you what I've heard. I've heard that Royal Caribbean is better than Carnival, but I don't know because I'm not a cruise ship person. Like, I've never even been on a cruise ship before, so I don't know. Mr. Misty says, management is grown-up kids just like working retail. Essentially, yeah. But at Disney, it's a lot worse. At Disney, it's like... At Disney, it's like your management could do anything to you. They could pick on you. They could harass you. They could do anything they wanted, and nobody could do anything about it. Because management there is God. And if you try to complain against them, or you try to, like, do anything to raise awareness of it, you get, reprimanded. So it's just, yeah, it's just terrible. Yeah. Better eat this sandwich before it gets too... See you later, Mike. I feel like there isn't enough time in the day to do everything I want to do. I wake up every day and I feel like there's like a million things I have to get done, and I only get a tiny fraction of what I want done in a single day. There's just not enough time, not enough daylight hours. I have all these video ideas I want to create, but I never have the time to do it. As soon as I start working on it, I get a little piece of it done, and then next thing I know, I look at the clock and it's been 8 hours, and I'm like, how did the time pass by so quickly? How did I not get more done, Like, I just feel like I don't have enough time. Pros, I'm not really sure if there has been a 6-funnel ship, but I don't know. Maybe it could have been a military vessel. Tyler asks, where are you on the Queen Mary manual? I have read the first introduction. I haven't been able to read any more of it. I haven't had time. That's one of the many things that I want to do, but I don't have the time in the day to read the book. So yeah, that's, like I said, there's like a million things I want to do every single day. I wake up and I feel like I'm going to get a bunch done, and I get a bunch done, but then there's still a lot more stuff to do, and I have to prioritize certain things over other things. And so I haven't even been able to, I have 4 books right now that I am in the process of reading. Like, I've started them, but I haven't been able to get any further. I just don't have the time. Pros, I don't know that TV show. Okay, Steve. Sounds good. Oceanliners asks, what line would you choose? A, White Star, B, United States, C, Italian, D, German lines, E, French. If Cunard was on there, I would choose Cunard, but I guess White Star would be the next one. Neek and Tony says, I love how authentic your channel is. It's so enjoyable and relaxing, and I learned so much about things that I never knew I needed in my life. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I try to always do, like, different stuff. I always try to, like, you know, talk about different subjects and stuff like that on the channel, and you know, so, and authenticity is a huge part of my channel. I try to be exactly myself on the channel. Chris says the ironclad Italia had 6 funnels. Wasn't an ocean liner though. Interesting. Rytupiep says, did the Queen Mary boiler flues need scrubbing, or did they have an abrasive substance that they could blast down it to remove the oil residue? I'm sure they had both. Maybe my friend Steve could answer that more in detail, but as far as I understand, they probably would have maybe blasted sand through it, like a very fine beach sand, and in a process called sanding the flues. But even then, that might not be what they would have done, because on a locomotive they could do that, but there's a place for that sand to collect on the locomotive, but on an ocean liner there isn't a place for that sand to collect. So I don't know, but I do imagine eventually they would have had to scrub the flues, because all boiler flues get eventually clogged with soot. If your boiler runs more efficiently and produces less carbon, you don't have to clean as often, but you eventually still do have to clean. So Steve says he's checking. What's funny, Rytupiep, is I have a book that might have that information in there, but I just don't know. I haven't finished reading the book. Another one of those books that I need to finish, but I haven't had the time. Ocean liners, I don't remember who christened RMS Britannia. Robert, I don't see myself doing videos about the United States line. It might happen one day, but I don't see myself doing videos about that. I want to do my best to cover ocean liners that are not normally covered that often. Arena, I am drinking regular English breakfast tea today. I'm running low on Earl Grey because I've been drinking so much of it. Interesting. So Steve says on a fire tube boiler, yes, on a fire tube boiler you would clean the flues. But on a water tube boiler like the Queen Mary was, no. Now what's funny is the Queen Mary had two different kinds of boilers. She had the double-ended Scotch boilers, which were in boiler room 1. Those were fired tube boilers. But the Yarrow boilers that Queen Mary had in boiler rooms 2, 3, 4, and 5 were they were water tube boilers. And I guess you don't clean the flues on water tube boilers. I think that's because there's no flues to clean on the water tube boilers. I forgot about that fact. The way water tube boilers works, there's no flues there, so... Ocean Liners says, do you know Cunard 3 ship? You would need to extend that sentence with a bit more words. I don't know what you're asking. Earl Grey was Captain Picard's drink of choice. I didn't know that, but that's good to know. Yeah, I really like Earl Grey. Mike, I haven't heard of that tea before. I want to try to do teas on this channel where it might have been used on a Cunard ship, you know. So Twinings, I can imagine. I think they do actually serve Twinings today on Cunard ships. But I don't want to do any teas that are not served on Cunard ships, because I think that would just kind of take away from the experience. Ivan says, which 2 rooms would you spend the most in during a transatlantic voyage on Queen Mary? Oh, that's an easy one. I would probably spend the most time in the first class main lounge and, let's see, maybe it's not as easy as I thought. And maybe either the long gallery or the starboard gallery. Of course, they're quite the same as the first class main lounge, but I don't see myself spending a lot of time in the observation bar. I wouldn't be drinking the whole time. Maybe the main hall, but there wouldn't have been much to do there. I would see myself reading a book or something, so it would be in the lounges, honestly. That's where I'd spend most of the time, was in the lounges. Yeah. But I would definitely be taking a walk around the promenade deck quite a lot. But that's not necessarily a room, so I didn't mention it. How about you guys? If you guys were to take a transatlantic crossing, let's say on the Queen Mary or the Queen Elizabeth, what rooms would you guys spend time in? Misty says, I've been wondering if that Cunard poster on your wall is real or a reproduction. It's a reproduction. I don't have the money for a real one. Or the space, because the real one is, I want to say, 3 to 4 times bigger than this. The real one wouldn't even fit on this wall here. That's how big it is. To answer your question, Ivan, it would be the first class main lounge on Titanic as well. See, Tyler, I would get books at the library, but then I'd go to a much bigger room, like the first class main lounge, to read my book. Mike, you can't choose the bridge or mechanical rooms. It's a transatlantic crossing. You wouldn't be allowed there. Nick and Tony says, wherever the drinks are. Observation bar. Logan says, my stateroom. Oh, you'd probably get a really nice stateroom, would you? Would you get like one of the big suites or something? Evan says, I don't know anything about the Queen Mary, but on Titanic I would spend it in Cafe Parisien on B deck in Promenade. Yep, I know Cafe Parisien. See you later, ocean liners. Ah, Robert says, I would check out the synagogue, the Jewish church room. Sorry if I messed that spelling up. That's okay. Yeah, the synagogue would have been a really pretty little place to be. So yeah, I would definitely have checked out the synagogue as well. I think another space I would have really wanted to see in person, and this is going to sound so weird, but the second class overflow lounge. So the second class main lounge is today called the Britannia room on the Queen Mary. It's located on main deck. But the overflow lounge, which is smaller, I believe is a deck above that. No. A deck below that. Sorry. It's a deck below that on A deck. And originally it was designed just as it was called, an overflow lounge. So if there's a lot of people in the main lounge or the other lounges and stuff, the little overflow lounge was a small place, but it was a cute little place you could hang out. But the second class overflow lounge was really beautiful in the 1930s. Just like this gorgeous room. And it was so small, that's the funny thing. Like, you'd think the big, giant rooms would be so much more beautiful, but this tiny little overflow lounge was so pretty. It was eventually turned into the Beachcombers Club, which was for teenagers, essentially. So in the later years, when Queen Mary was at sea, they needed a place for teenagers to spend their time and stuff. So the Beachcombers Lounge is what it became. And in my opinion, it probably wouldn't have looked that amazing, I think. It would have been very 1950s looking, which is not my thing. But in the 1930s, it would have been a beautiful little lounge just to spend time. And it probably wouldn't have been that crowded either, because of the fact that that most everyone would be out in other places. So that'd be cool. Mike says, hi Alex, working on a new model. Awesome, what model? Mr. Misty says, I love the first class smoking room on Titanic, but I'm sensitive to smoke, so I wouldn't be able to breathe. Ivan says, is there a palm court type area on Queen Mary? Love that on Titanic. Let me think. No, not like that. It wouldn't have looked like that. Because the palm court was very Victorian Edwardian. And there wasn't anything like that on Queen Mary. Queen Mary was entirely Art Deco, so... yeah. Nothing like that. Steve says, I'm still checking on specific cleaning on the flues for the Yarrow main boilers, but both have flues and need cleaning, but it's much more important and complex on a fired tube boiler. I see. Yeah, Steve says that the Beachcombers Club or Lounge became... well, it had a Wurlitzer jukebox and a 2-lane bowling alley. Gabe says, hey, Alex, if White Star Line did make the Tyrannic, or Trianic, what would your opinion be? I don't know. I don't even know what the Trianic is. I've never seen it. Steve says the Garden Lounge would be the closest. That's true. So, which would you say the third class Garden Lounge would be closest, or would you say the first and second class Garden Lounge? I don't feel like the first and second class Garden Lounge were actually that nice looking. I think the third class Garden Lounge, which was the original, looked the best. And that one had little palm trees and stuff in it, so it would have been, in a way, the closest thing to a palm court. Oh, Mike says the model he's working on is a 1962 Chevy Impala SS. Interesting. Derpy, how's it going? Have you perhaps seen the 30s film Danger Lights? Was watching it earlier and was wondering. Danger Lights? No, I haven't seen it. Mike says, bowling on a ship in the North Atlantic must have been fun. Especially for the teenagers, yeah. Grimtoon says, hello, Alex. Do you think a cruise ship could... like an ocean liner and meet safety... oh, could be like an ocean liner and meet safety standards? I mean... it'll never be the same thing, though. That's the thing. You could make it close, but it won't be the same. So, for instance... what ship is it? There's two different ships. They're both cruise ships, but they have certain features that allow them to go transatlantic similarly. I believe Cunard's Queen Elizabeth... you know, I don't know, but I will say that that the Disney Magic has some physical features that were put into the ship to make it be able to do transatlantic crossings. But that being said, while they did add stuff to make it more viable for transatlantic crossings, it will never be the same as an original ocean liner, because if it were to hit those crazy storms that ocean liners did, it could be torn apart. So yeah, you could try to upgrade a cruise ship, but it will never be the same. You'll never be able to upgrade it enough that it will be able to do transatlantic crossings the way an ocean liner can. It's just not physically possible without completely demolishing the entire cruise ship and rebuilding it from the ground up to be an ocean liner. So it's just not possible. Oh, could look like an ocean liner. I mean, yeah, you could. You could make any ship look like an ocean liner. Will it look right when it's done? That's a whole different thing. Will it look right to the eye? I don't think so. But could you make it look like an ocean liner? Yeah. But the thing is, if you're asking if you can literally recreate like the Queen Mary 100% and it operates as a cruise ship, yes, money could buy anything, but it would not be a good business venture. There is a reason why cruise ships are so tall and have so many balcony rooms, because that is what makes money. The Queen Mary's rooms today would not make very much money out at sea because people would not want to pay for that. Only the biggest ocean liner fans would actually fork over the money for that kind of experience. But the Queen Mary is very subpar compared to today's standards for what people want when they spend a lot of money to go out on the ocean. So, no, I don't think that it is financially feasible to do that. But yes, it is physically possible to make an ocean liner that works as a cruise ship, essentially. But, yeah. Red Tupiep, so if Queen Mary's boilers are anything like a steam locomotive's boilers, you don't necessarily ever have to change the water. It's because of the way the process works, you don't need to change the water. It's always being changed. So Queen Mary's boilers, the water's always being changed. It never stops. Because what happens is you add water to it, it boils off, turns to steam, and goes somewhere else. So it's always being changed. So they wouldn't have needed to change the water at all. Yeah, Ken, you're right. Grimtoon says, could Queen Elizabeth II sail again in her current state? No. For any ship converted to a hotel, you would need to convert it back. So you could never sail a ship that was turned into a hotel and then just expect to like take it out on water and run it. It won't work that way. You'd have to reconvert all of them. Oceanliner says, I saw a pic of Mauretania and her third funnel was the only one the smoke was coming out of. Why didn't the other funnel let out smoke? They did. It's just that you don't always, like for ships, you don't always need to have all the boilers working. If a ship was coming into port, they wouldn't need all the boilers on. They would just need a few of them because the ship is going to slow down anyway. So that's how you operate ships, is that you will shut down boilers as you don't need them in order to save on fuel. But also, the other thing is you simply just don't need them all to be on when you're coming into port, or even when you're leaving port. When you're leaving port, you certainly don't need all the boilers on. The only time a ship needed all its boilers working was when it was out at sea and it was trying to cross the ocean as fast as possible. So the footage you saw was probably taken at a moment when the ship really just didn't need all its boilers on. So, and all ships, they had a certain set of boilers that they would decide to keep on all the time, you know, even when they were coming into port or leaving port. So, so that's why. So it's yeah, that's how it works. Robert says, speaking of locomotives, I'm loving the train in the background. Thank you so much. Yeah. I would bring out the other engine, but it's so squeaky, it just annoys me sometimes just to have it running constantly. But maybe towards the end of the stream, I'll switch it out and I'll run the other engine. This one's been running a lot. Hello, C-Quad. I'm doing good. How about you? Well, Grimtunes, you're asking a very broad question. You'd need to, like, you know, filter it down into a very, you know, like, basic question. Because if you're asking, could the QE2 be run once again as an ocean liner? Yeah, she could. But, again, you'd still have to convert her. You'd still have to put back davits, put back lifeboats, reconnect engine machinery and, you know, all that stuff, and unlock all her bridge gear machinery buttons and stuff. Like, all the stuff that they used to convert the ship to a hotel permanently would have to be converted back. And yes, technically, if you did all that, you could run the ship as an ocean liner. Still, would it make money? That's a whole different like question. But if you're asking, could you run it as a cruise ship? You know, like, you know, I don't know. But then there's another part of the question too, which is, like, are you asking, like, to make it make money? Because the Queen Mary, you could just refurbish what she has and run her as is. Would she make money? Most certainly not. She'd spend more money than she made. So, but when I was talking about the fact that if you were to make her again and she would be unrecognizable, that was because I was talking about if she were to make money. If you want her to make a positive, you know, profit, then she would need to have more rooms. She would need to have more, you know, more amenities and things, and she would need to be brought up to code and all that. So you're asking a very broad question. I wasn't sure which one to answer, but if you want to bring back an ocean liner, make it profitable and have it still meet the requirements of, you know, various international maritime laws, then essentially ships like Queen Mary and the QE2, more so the Queen Mary, would look unrecognizable. QE2 would still look quite recognizable because she isn't that far off, but the Queen Mary is very far off because she was built in a time so long ago that a lot of the codes and things we have today don't look the same. But yeah, so it's what you ask is a very complex question. You would have to, like, narrow it down to the various, like, aspects. But yeah. Rhytopia, they would have just topped it off. Because it doesn't need changing, you know what I'm saying? Like, a chemical process happens where, you know, where the water is boiled off into steam and then gets recirculated. So there's no need to change out the water because the process of turning water from water into steam is a change. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no need to change out the water. So they would top it up with the steam loss, but they would never need to change it out. There was no need to because it was constantly changing. It was changing from water to steam and then back into water. So, see you later, Sarah. All right, see you later, Steve. Yeah, Mark, I wouldn't want to waste money on a balcony cabin either. I mean, I wouldn't be in the cabin most of the time anyway. I'd be somewhere else. So yeah, I agree with you. All right. Let's see. Derpy, so you could, but whether or not it's made of real wood, not really. Most ships, they can't put that much wood on them. So you could recreate it, but it would be made out of like fake wood, and then you have to ask, if spending all that money, would it make money back? Not likely. So it's really hard to believe, but most people today would not care to see interiors like that. I know that's hard to believe because they're so beautiful. You'd think, why would you think that? But let me give you an example. Somebody commented, they saw my my video tour of the Queen Mary. They commented and said, "Oh, I can't stand all that wood in the Queen Mary." They said that it reminds them of those stinky old British pubs where it smells like cigar smoke and alcohol, and it smells like a old library, and and it looks gross and grimy. That's what they thought of the Queen Mary, was they thought of like some old grimy pub. And so, believe it or not, that is a very common point of view, is that wood paneling does not look good to people. Even if it was beautifully carved, most people don't think that looks beautiful. That's sad, but that is the reason why styles change over time. Let me put it another way. All those new mansions they build for rich people with all the white interiors and the really like sterile appearance of them, they wouldn't look like that if the majority of people still favored wood paneling. You know what I'm saying? So that is the problem, is that even if you did decorate cruise ships to look more like the interiors of old ocean liners, the people going on those cruise ships would likely not enjoy it. There would be very few people who still enjoy that stuff. And even then, some of them would not want to see it all the time. So some people, they like visiting the Queen Mary, but they can't wait to go back home sometimes, because they're just like, well, it was nice, but I don't want to be around all that constantly. That's how I feel about SS Normandy. SS Normandy looks nice. I'd walk around it and stuff, but I wouldn't want to stay aboard. It's too much for constant staying overnight and stuff like that. So, like architecture and design are very interesting concepts, because they constantly evolve, they constantly change, and the idea of something is just... I was watching the movie Superman 2 last night, the Richard Donner one. And it was filmed in the 70s, and Lex Luthor and his girlfriend go to the Fortress of Solitude, right? And the first thing the woman says is, she looks around, it's all white, it's all crystal and ice, so it's all white. And she goes like, and Lex Luthor says, oh, this is fantastic, and then she says, oh, but it's so boring. How about putting up some pictures and putting up some, this and that and some color, and that's because, she had the modern point of view of the 1970s, which is put color in your house. That's why 70s houses were so colorful, with their urine yellow and pea green and, and poop brown, It's like they were really colorful. But you imagine, you bring that same character into a modern house today, and they'd think the same thing. Oh, it's so stale and so cold, and where's all the color? Where's the warmth? So style changes over time, and so that's just one of the sad things, is like we can't always recreate stuff from the past, because not everybody would enjoy it, What's more I've heard of Morro Castle. That's a ship, right? I don't remember that one. Sequad says, do they only walk you through the boiler rooms on tours, or can you go to them yourself? No, you have to book a tour to see the boiler rooms. The boiler rooms are one of those places that you need to be supervised when you go into them. But even then, there's a possibility the boiler rooms may not reopen when the Queen Mary reopens, because they are currently sealing up 2 of the watertight bulkheads. So there's a possibility it could have interrupted the tour route. So we don't know yet if the boiler rooms will reopen. Sequad says, sorry for asking this, but this is weird. What does it smell like on the RMS Queen Mary? Well, keep in mind, there's 2 different smells going on the Queen Mary. One of those smells might be eliminated when the ship reopens. But there's 2 different smells. One is the smell of a library. Lots of wood. So it smells like wood. It smells like, yeah, an old library. I like that smell because of the fact that it just, well, you know, I like books. I like that smell. So, so it smells like an old library, and that's the predominant smell on the Queen Mary. But the other smell that is on the Queen Mary that is probably going to be eliminated soon is the smell of the old carpets. So there are carpets on the ship that date back to the 1970s, date back to the 1980s, 1990s, and so on. And a lot of those carpets are old and tattered and dirty, and they need to be replaced. So those carpets smell bad. They smell like, you know, gross. They smell. So that there's 2 different smells, and I don't want people to think like when they go on the Queen Mary and smell the carpets, I don't want them to go like, oh, the whole ship smells like this. That's because of the wood. It's like, no, that's not the smell of the wood. The smell of the wood smells like a library. It's a beautiful smell. But the smell of the carpets is different, and that needs to be changed out. Is it overpowering and nauseating? No, I wouldn't say so. I've been on the ship. It was not overpowering and nauseating at all to me. It was prominent. You could smell it. You knew it was there, but it was not something like you walk on and you're like, oh, bleh, you know, like it's not that gross. Like it just smells old. That's all. So, and you get used to it. Like the longer you're on the ship, the more you get used to it. And at the end of the day, I didn't even notice the smell anymore because I've been around it for the entire day and it no longer bothered me. So. But yeah, it does have a particular smell. It's a very old library with dirty carpet smell. So. Grim Tunes, probably not, because the United States was full of asbestos, and they, in order to upgrade the ship, they probably would have needed to rip out all of the walls and stuff to remove the asbestos like they did. So, yeah, I don't think so. That's another thing, too, with the Queen Mary. If they wanted to get the Queen Mary to sail again, they'd need to rip out all the walls to get, you know, to remove all the asbestos, remove all the stuff that's inside the walls, like the old plumbing that isn't used anymore and stuff like that. So it would just ruin, like, that kind of process would ruin all ships, not just the United States, not just the Queen Mary. It would ruin any ship from the old eras. Grim Tunes, they haven't sealed the bulkheads yet, but the reason why is because that's how they're supposed to be. The watertight bulkheads on a ship need to be sealed closed. They have watertight doors, of course, to let you through, but they do need to be sealed. That's what they're for. They're meant to keep out water in case the room floods. But the Queen Mary, they had opened up openings in the walls to allow the machinery to be removed back in the 1970s. And then, of course, now today, those openings were used to make a concrete walkway that goes through all the boiler rooms for the tours. But that also created a danger, because if one of those rooms were to ever flood, there'd be nothing to contain the water because all the walls are open. So they are working to restore 2 of the bulkheads and fully enclose them. They will still have watertight doors on them. They have to for escape reasons. But I don't know if the watertight doors they're going to be installing are big enough for tour groups to go through. They might. I don't know. But we simply don't. We'll just have to see when the ship reopens if the boiler room tours resume. And if they do, I'm going to go down there and see what they did to those bulkheads, if one of them is visible. Rytupia, no, the Queen Mary wouldn't have survived that. Not if she was close by. If she was really far away, she'd have more of a chance. But not if she was close by. No ship could withstand that at a close range. No ship. Let's see. Sequad says, if they close boiler rooms 3 and 4, the only way you can see it is probably during dark harbor, because in B340 you go over that catwalk, so people will probably see it. In B340? What does B340 have to do with the boiler rooms? But anyway, I imagine that they would have chosen 2 different bulkheads, one closer to the front of the ship, one closer to the stern, to seal up and restore. But I don't know for sure. Like I said, I wish I knew, but I don't know. No one has said what bulkheads. If they had said what bulkheads, I could have told you exactly what would have been available, what wouldn't have been, but I don't know. And who knows, they could reopen. Their tour might reopen. Maybe they'll install really big watertight doors that are big enough for tour groups to fit through. You know, because there are watertight doors that big. You know, they're on cruise ships and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I don't know about the Queen Mary. Crazy Man, no, I haven't heard of that. All right. It's almost been an hour and a half. I think it is. Anyway. We might end this live stream soon just because I can see the comments are starting to slow down and stuff. But yeah, so expect this Friday is Queen Mary's 86th anniversary. I have a special surprise planned for everybody on that day. Something really cool, something I'm really happy to be a part of is going to showcase on my channel. And you guys get to see it then. And I think I'm going to work on it right after the stream. So I think right after the stream I'll be working and finishing that project up. And like I said, I'm just so excited for this thing on Friday. So be aware that Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific time on my channel will be a really neat surprise for everybody. It's going to be a teaser to something that's coming this summer on my channel. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Octarian, yes, it would have been even worse because trying to take care of 2 ships at the same time would have been even worse. NCC, yep, I've heard of Hikawamaru. C-Quad, B340 is a room on the ship, not a maze. It's a room on the Queen Mary. Grimtunes, check out eBay. That's, like, honestly, like, #1 thing for everybody. If you want to buy anything old, look on eBay. Lived in a world where there was at least one passenger cruise ship marketed to the early 20th century nerds like us. Oh, I know, Derpy. Yeah, I know. That'd be so cool. I'd love to, you know, stay on a old ocean liner and stuff. All right, folks. No, Conrad, what I did was so the teaser you saw, Conrad, was unfinished. It was unfinished. It was just a test. So it wasn't even completed. So what's being released this Friday is the completed teaser, along with a special feature at the end of it. So yeah, so that's what's being released this Friday is the fully completed teaser with a special feature at the end. So yeah. All right, folks, I'm going to end the live stream now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to, you know, keep an eye out for the video on Friday. And then this Saturday is another episode of Queen Mary's Lost Places with my friend Steve. And we'll be doing part 1 of the Queen Mary's various lounges on the ship. So abandoned lounges, lost lounges, things like that. Some really cool stuff on there, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.